Okay, so yesterday we finished off, we were learning about spider webs cleaning the house and very interesting ideas over there. Now we're going to pick it up from the commentary on Sifkat and Daled, which is talking about, Shulchan Aruch said you should learn from these great rabbis that even someone who is very important, he should be involved with the preparations of Shabbos, especially B'Yamim HaKasadim, in these days when Shabbos starts early. Shabbos starts very early and the days are short. So therefore, one should be very careful over here to be involved with the preparations of Shabbos, especially if you see that near the time of Shabbos, if you're not going to help out, umavchin, you understand, right? This is talking about when the days are short. She'ein b'nei adam, top left. She'ein b'nei adam mistapkin. I'm just going to make it even bigger. She'ein b'nei adam mistapkin lahachin hakol levadim, which means that the people in your house, they're not going to be able to prepare everything for Shabbos by themselves. And certainly, when a person sees that it's already near the time of Shabbos, especially if it's close to the time of Shabbos, and you understand that if you yourself won't be personally involved, so then the preparations for Shabbos will not be completed before Shabbos. Then a person is obligated to be involved with the preparations of Shabbos with all of his strength. Then he says, I saw men of great deed who swept their house on Erev Shabbos. That is their explanation with actually 0 footnotes on this. It's pretty much straightforward. Next one. This is Kavod Shabbos, sharpening the knife. So I just want to remind everyone, the explanation of sharpening the knife, we saw a few sessions ago, and we're going to learn more about this knife sharpening. Exactly. What this means practically is nowadays most people don't sharpen knives, right? But I just want to find the right PDF over here. I'm not sure which one it is. Basically, what this is going to mean practically is, it must be Zain. What this is going to mean practically is that any utensil that is needed for Shabbos, it should be prepared. So right over here, we take a look at their commentary on the Ramah. Say like this. Yesh lahazkin asakin shemishtamshim b'be'er Shabbos. Should sharpen the knife. Gizehu, that is mekavod haShabbos. That is in honor of Shabbos. Shemeichen atzmo le'achila. That a person's preparing himself to eat. Klaimar shemisakin umeichin es hakelim shu oichel al yadim. This means that it's honor of Shabbos that a person should prepare himself for eating. Klaimar shemisakin umeichin, meaning that a person fixes and prepares the utensils, the vessels that he's going to be eating with. So that's what this means. Even if we don't really do the knife sharpening, and we're going to be learning about this more nowadays, nevertheless, what this means is to properly prepare all the utensils that are needed for Shabbos. It's based on a pasuk. There's going to be shalom in your tent. This is referring to sharpening the knife. We're going to learn more about the reasons for sharpening a knife. It's based on a pasuk. Kolbo quotes this. We saw it. Sifri to Kolbo, Simon Lamed Aleph. We saw it in the Beis Yosef already. If it's going to be dull, and it cannot cut well, you come to a quarrel in the house saying, oh, it's not cutting well. We're going to learn more about exactly what the quarrel would be. Ben Ishchai writes, Hagam ki davar ze nemar lefi mino groivim makomish shashichin lesakin b'shas uda hin l'sorech alechem hin l'sorech abaz. This is talking about most places. You need a knife during the meal for the bread, the meat. And sometimes you don't need a knife as much if the food's already cut up. Nevertheless, since it came out of the mouth of the rabbis and they based it on the pasuk, this person needs to be careful with this in all places. It's impossible that you won't need the knife because of fruit. In other words, you're probably gonna need a knife for something, fruit, whatever it is. So therefore, one should be careful and make sure that the knives are good. Let me see for Korban Shabbos, Tam Lashos Sokin, Alpi Kabbalah Va'ayin, Alpi Zeh, Hatam English Shabbos Shabbos Al Besakin Beloy Pegimos. Korban Shabbos says that there's Kabbalistic reasons as well to sharpen the knife, and therefore, one should use a knife that doesn't have any blemishes on it. So maybe serrated. So not serrated. So the idea over here is that sometimes people forget to bring the knife out to the table, but that's precisely like this halacha kind of. So be careful to bring the knife to the table also before Suda. That's the story with the knife. Okay. Sif base. Shulchan Aruch says Yarba b'hachana Suda Shabbos. Shulchan Aruch says person should increase when it comes to preparing for Shabbos the basar meat, the yayin. So we're going to learn about this a lot more, actually. This is what we're learning about now, and what we're going to be learning about. This is essentially the source for what we practice on Shabbos and the type of food that we eat, the specific types and the reasons for behind eating them. Shulchan Aruch says that a person should have basar. What is the definition of basar?
Technically, basar is minatora, right? Behema.
Right. So does that mean that if a person has chicken, that he won't be fulfilling this?
That's probably a raid.
That's what?
That's probably a raid, probably a whole discussion.
Yeah, a whole raid, yeah. What about a vegetarian? Okay.
Oh, we learned, right? Really, it's based on oneg, right? What your oneg is.
Right. We're gonna be this Siman Reish Mem Beis, which by the way, we're going straight to that Siman after this, is gonna overlap with this. 100% is gonna overlap. 100%. We're gonna do Reish Mem Beis even at the expense of learning Hilchos Purim, because it's so important to do all these simanim together. To have these four simanim down and really learn it up is an incredible achievement. What?
Right, that's the difference. That's the difference between Yontiv and Shabbos, right? Shabbos is oneg, Yontiv is Simcha, and that's basar probably more of an issue.
Excellent, correct. We're going to be getting to that. Now, Shulchan Aruch says yayin. What does this mean, yayin?
Wait, so what did we say about basar?
We're going to be learning about it. I'm just throwing out the questions now. I'll say just yesterday, I finished every single source in this PDF file, including the Chuvas from Rav Harfinis. Everything. I totally just went ahead. I didn't type it up, summarize it, but I just went ahead with the highlights of what I thought we should go through. So I went through it once. I didn't do a chazar or anything. I mean, this is a chazar for me. But what does yayin mean over here? Should purchase wine? Like, what's the kiddush? You need yayin for kiddush. Right? What's pshat? You should purchase yayin. Why do we need to be told this? Why is this even over here? It should be in Hilchos Kiddush. Right? So, unless maybe it's referring to yayin during the Suda. In addition to Kiddush, to have yayin. So, question would be twofold. Number one, is this specifically talking about if you enjoy yayin, but if you don't enjoy it, then this wouldn't apply? Number one. And number two is there a difference a distinction between nowadays and what it used to be. It used to be that it was much more regular for people to drink yayin. And therefore, it was something that was more enjoyable and accepted. So now there's more of a reason to have yayin. But maybe that doesn't necessarily apply nowadays. Because we really don't drink yayin so much.
What about grape juice?
Yeah, grape juice also.
So
That would be
what about,
subject to this. It seems like,
maybe,
I mean, the Shulchan Aruch doesn't say mitz anavim, which would mean grape juice. He says yayin. Because yayin possesses something which grape juice doesn't. Could get a person tipsy, get a person shicker. Technically.
but I don't I don't think that's the intention for anyone on Shabbos,
No? Okay. So we're gonna have
right?
to learn about that. Why then is the Shulchan Aruch saying have yayin? Is he referring to the yayin for Kiddush? You don't need to say, by the way, have yayin. The Shulchan Aruch, keep in mind, this is the third word of the Shulchan Aruch. It says yarbe babasar v'yayin, which means you should do a lot of it, buy a lot of it, stack up, have a lot of yayin. So his intention is not just for Kiddush over here, it's clear. Shulchan Aruch's intention is to have larger quantities of yayin. Now, of course, someone who has addiction issues and who's an alcoholic should not be doing that. That goes without saying. Rabbi Dr. Avram Twersky,
Yeah.
he says that an alcoholic should not even have a sip of wine, even on Purim. And for the Daled Kosos on Pesach, only grape juice. Someone can't control themselves. Sometimes that's all it takes. You just have a little and then he just keeps going. So I'm not an expert in this field, but I have read a lot of, I went through his Haggadah, Rabbi Twersky's Haggadah, cover to cover. It's excellent. He doesn't really say practically what to do, but he addresses the concept that basically, according to him, everyone's addicted to something. That's basically what he says. So, yeah. But anyways, so what is the intention of yayin? So we're gonna have to come back to that. I'm just throwing out some questions here. Umigdanos. So Migdanos, and you can go back, it's recorded. I'm pretty sure I said delicacies. That was like
By Shalashudas?
7 sessions ago. No, this has nothing to do with Shalashudas.
I'm saying McDonald's.
Our Simon, we saw this word when we learned the Shulchan Aruch for the first time. I translated this as delicacies. I think it was 7 sessions ago, something like that. And Dava was like, "What delicacies? Like, what's that?" I was like,
That's me, yeah.
"Yeah, I remember this vaguely.
Yeah.
Not vaguely. I remember this pretty clearly, actually.
That's not the terminology used by Shalashudas. McDonald's also like to
Maybe
be.
the way
Maybe
that
it's a word.
translated is Peiros mini mesika, fruits and sweet items." So this is where it comes from, and we're going to be seeing, if I'm not mistaken, that giving kids candy, making Shabbos sweeter or whatever, you know. Kifi yachalaso, according to one's ability, which I thought when we first learned this, and I said it, according to a person's financial ability. Because we've been learning in Siman Reish Mem Beis, Hashesa b'secha l'chol v'al tisarich lebrius. If a person has limited funds, he shouldn't make a very lavish. You shouldn't have a lot of fancy food on Shabbos and expensive food. You should make it very simple and not knock on people's doors asking for money, rather than going around Sarchi Shabbos, Sarchi Shabbos, Sarchi Shabbos. Eat Shabbos food. Kafi also b'shvil la'aneg es Shabbos. This means in order to have an oneg Shabbos. We're going to be learning about over here. I'm just throwing out questions that are in my mind based on these few words in the Shulchan Aruch, which just in these few words is incredibly fundamental. So, because the Shulchan Aruch is saying to have a lot of meat and yayin and delicacies, and so does that mean that a person should stuff himself? Is that what Shabbos is about? Eating a lot and sleeping a lot? I'll just ruin the answer to that question right now and say 100% not. 100% not. And we're going to see all the sources where that comes from. And what we're also going to discuss is the opposite way. Someone's on a diet. And they say, I want to limit the amount of food that I have and eat very small quantities. Are you allowed to do that on Shabbos? Or because Lamaisa, the guy's only on a diet because he wants to be in good shape. He cares what other people think, what his spouse thinks. He's self-conscious. He cares about himself. He feels better that way. But he himself, all he wants to do is eat more meat, eat more of the potatoes, eat more challah, eat more something, eat more kugel. And now it's a bittul of his own yontif. So is he allowed to now go on a diet? All right, so we're going to come back to this. Let's see what those Vahadar says. Ayin Aleph through Ayin Dalid. She'ikr, this is actually commenting on the part to have meat. To have meat. That's what I'm talking about, meat. I'm a guy just like everyone else. I like meat. She'ikr oineg Shabbos bo al yidei basar v'yayin u'migdanos. The main way to have a pleasure with Shabbos comes through meat, yayin, and these delicacies. By the way, it's an oneg Shabbos, not an oneg on the guf. We're going to come back to that. V'ayin la'el b'Mishna Berura. Today is a day of a lot of comeback-tos. We're going to come back to this. We're going to come back to that. V'ayin la'el b'Mishna Berura. Starting a new topic over here. Look at the Mishna Berura in Reish Mem Beis. Mitzvah Hashem, we're going to get there. Shalav davka basar v'yayin u'migdanos elakol makom lafi min hagu b'ma'acholim hachashuvam lehem oineg. It doesn't have to be exactly what the Shulchan Aruch says over here. Meat, yayin, migdanos. Every single place, according to the custom of what is considered a chashav food. I just want to see what's the source of this Shulchan Aruch. I just thinking out loud. Where is he coming from? That's the wrong PDF. We're gonna go to Sivbis. What's this?
We said I'll be Kabbalah. I don't know who
You're breaking up.
the knife, but I think there's a lot of Chassidim who don't want to have it's talking about the challah knife, but I thought there's a lot of Chassidim who don't want to have a knife on the table.
Okay.
It's
Not having a knife on the table is actually nowhere to be found in Hilchos Shabbos. It's around the Hilchos Brachos area, around Siman. I think it's actually, if I'm not mistaken, like Kuf Pei, something around there. It's right before the Halachos of Mayim Achronim, and that's brought, and that's for a different reason. That's because knife shortens a person's life, and the table is like a mizbeach, which increases life, and you don't want to have something that shortens life on something that increases life. However, there are exceptions to this rule. Some say it doesn't apply at all on Shabbos, and but some are stringent nevertheless, but it seems like most aren't stringent specifically on Shabbos.
I thought it's also because of Yerushalayim that you're going to be so upset about Yerushalayim. That was also another reason, no?
Also that, yeah, maybe I'm gonna put some. I'm gonna make some PDFs on that because we're talking about sharpening knives. It's a rightful tangent once we're talking about knives. So, and it has to do with Shabbos. It's relevant. So I'm gonna bleed there.
I thought that was about benching.
What?
Wasn't that benching? Isn't that?
Yes, only by benching. During the rest of the Suda could be on the table.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bleed there. Make some PDF files. We're gonna tackle that. We're gonna tackle that in the Siman. That's fine. That's fair game. But if you just look at the source of the Shulchan Aruch, it's a Rambam in Hilchos Shabbos Perek Lamed, Halacha Zayin. So that's what the Ber Hagolah points out. But anyways, so what is this talking about? So it's talking about whatever is chashuv in that time, whatever is considered chashuv. And since that typically most people get an oneg, a pleasure, from meat, yayin, migdanos, lakin kasav kan sheyarbe basar v'yayin and migdanos. That's why Shulchan Aruch says over here, have basar, yayin, and migdanos, the delicacies. Lakin kasav sham b'Shulchan Aruch harav v'ayin beharos l'Mishna Berura sham iyesh chiyav la'echol basar b'Shabbos. Look at the footnotes of the Mishna Berura. Is there an obligation to eat meat on Shabbos? Because of b'seder hayom shekoydim l'basar yesh lo liknos kemach. Before the meat, you should buy Kemach yafa. V'hagum l'sorach hachalas.
Comment with the pick.
Before the meat, you should buy. In other words, before you buy high-end meat, make sure that you have nice flour, which is needed for the challah. Ki ikr seudas haShabbos hu alechem toiv yafa. Very important line. Because the main part of a meal is good challah.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. So they're quoting the Seder Hayom over here. And in the footnotes of what they're going to discuss in Reish Mem Beis, which is a very appropriate place to discuss the importance of challah, saying that's the main part of the Suda, because over there they're going to talk about making challah, baking it at the house, versus we're going to learn about also buying it in a bakery. So you see from over here the importance of challah. So we're gonna come back to that more. But this is an important line. And you see over here something insightful from this line, that the main oneg is that people get is with basar and yayin. I think really a lot of times it depends on the gender. From my experiences, I mean, think about women that you know. Do they like dairy more or meat? Milchiks or
Definitely the dairy side.
right, yeah. I feel like females in general are more on the dairy side. I kind of get a kick out of it when you have a couple guys going out. I'm not talking about for pizza, but they're going out to like a fancy milchiks restaurant. Like, I just find fancy milchiks restaurant is kind of like a contradiction. It's like, how fancy could you get? Like, it's cheese. What are you doing so differently? You're paying $25 for the equivalent of 2 slices. Granted, the pizza's fresh, but I mean, talk about a ripoff. You're paying $20 for a pot of pasta with some sauce on it. You could get 20 boxes of pasta with that money. It's just nothing for your money. At least when you get fish there, you get something for your money, because the fish itself costs money. Now, I'm the type of guy who doesn't like fish. I am the type of guy who would get that pasta. It's good, don't get me wrong. It's just the markup is so not worth it. At least when you go and you buy fancy meat at a restaurant, at least you're getting your money's worth, because actual meat costs money.
For me, also, you don't have to spend the markup on meat is something too.
It's definitely something, but not like the markup on a plate of pasta when you're going out to a milchiks restaurant. I mean, there's no greater ripoff than that in the history of the food industry.
Maybe
Sushi.
drink. Maybe
What?
drinks.
Yeah, drinks. Okay, fine. A drink is a drink. You get a drink.
Drinks are how I think Goyish restaurants make their money.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, they make on everything. But the point is that this line that's double highlighted over here is saying that the ikr oneg that people get is from basar and yayin. It's just dairy. The way that I look at dairy, it's cheap. That's what it is. And that's why we don't have dairy sudas on Shabbos. Right? So that's why meat, I mean, nothing's changed. It's amazing. This is already from the time of the Rambam. He mentions the meat. The Gemara talks about it also. I mean, thousands of years, with all of the technological advancements, with all of the ways that we've evolved positively. I don't like using the word evolved, because then it kind of, that word is used a lot by evolution, which we don't believe in. But really, the way that the food industry and food in general, how great it's gotten, you still see that at the end of the day, meat's more chashuv. That's what it comes down to. Okay, what's ayin beis going on? Ayin beis going on the yayin. Yayin itzrach gam kiddush. Now, we know that we need yayin for kiddush. V'yayin lekiddush koydem lebasar. Now, in Hilchos Kiddush, Shulchan Aruch Lahalan, Siman Reish Ayin Aleph Sef Gimel, also Siman Tov Reish Ayin Ches, when we learn Hilchos Chanukah, yayin for kiddush comes first, comes before the meat, because the yayin you need for the kiddush. The Shulchan Aruch Kan Shehiktim Basel Yayin. So, if a person only has limited money, he should purchase yayin before meat. Why then does the Shulchan Aruch over here say, by the way, have a lot of meat and then yayin? Say yayin first. Yayin is more important. Why does the Shulchan Aruch first say meat and then yayin? Excellent question. You know what the answer is?
Nope.
Shulchan Aruch isn't talking about the yayin for kiddush over here. That's the pshat that they want to say. Ella balaharos. Rather, he's coming to teach. Shish laharbos biyayin af yoisim ramashas kiddush. A person should have more yayin in addition to kiddush. Don't limit the yayin only what you're having during kiddush and that's it. No, you should have more than that. Ubiyayin hayoisim meshubach. A very good yayin. Kedei la'aneg boas Shabbos, in order that you'll have an oneg Shabbos. Ubeseder hayoim haisif. The Seder Hayom, he adds over here like this. Shekoidim lakach sarach lidoig sheyeh loy shemen zayis v'tov kedei lahadlik bo ner Shabbos. The Seder Hayom adds, and he says, before this, a person needs to be careful, needs to worry about having shemen zach v'tov, good oil, kedei lahadlik bo ner Shabbos, in order to light the Shabbos ner. Also have wicks that are prepared. Also, you should see to it to have good oil for your food. Sometimes people, they use dips that are like an oil type of dip. Make sure you have the best. So what this is saying over here is Hadlakas Ner Shabbos comes first. And by the way, we could properly understand and appreciate this because we learned Siman Tov Reish Nun Ches and the Gemara in Shabbos and Chav Gimel over there. Ner Shabbos comes first. Why? Who remembers?
Shalom Bayis.
Shalom Bayis. Very good. So that's why Ner Shabbos comes first. Then the yayin and then the meat. If the yayin for Kiddush comes before the meat, why does the Shulchan Aruch say meat first? Answer is simple. You already have yayin for Kiddush. Now you have a discussion. You have the option of either buying meat for your suda or additional yayin. The answer is meat comes first before that additional yayin. But we still see the idea of drinking yayin during the suda to enjoy it. Get a type of yayin that you enjoy. You're the type of person that didn't acquire a taste for wine. No problem. I'm that type of person. Maybe when I'm older, I'll like real yayin. But right now, I don't. So you know what I do? I drink the fake stuff. The sugary stuff that has a low percentage, like the Bar Tanura, like the Joyvin. That stuff is good. Anyone will like that. Even my kids like it. My kid who just turned 1 likes it. If I gave her dry wine, she'd go. Right? All my kids, they love it. I want more yayin, Tati. I want more yayin, Tati. Right? So get the yayin, get something good. Also, I've seen once or twice people, what they do, it's called mixology. People go to school for a couple of years to work at a bar and all of these things and how to mix the drinks. And you know what? There's ways to do it. There are recipes. Mix drinks. Why not? If it will, you put a little something, not out of hand, right? Moderation, an adult drink. You put it, you mix it. They're very tasty. They have the kick at the end. I personally like them. I think they're a ripoff when you go out to eat. $20, $15, whatever it is. But Lamaisa, if it's free, I would go for it. Why not? Here and there, if someone else is paying, I'll go for it. No problem. So if that will help increase your Oneg Shabbos, spice it up a little bit. Don't just bring Torah and Ruchnius to the table. Bring it in a different form. Bring it in a physical form. Spice it up. Say, let's try something new. Let's enhance our Shabbos. Let's make our Shabbos better. We're learning about it. Let's improve. If that's a way that could improve Shabbos, why not? Now, we don't do it when my wife's pregnant, obviously, because then, which apparently has been a lot of our married life, but because then that's not so fair. Because I get the drink, she doesn't get the drink. But if no one's pregnant, why not? Even if someone is, if she's fine with it, why not? If she could take a little sip, it's not the end of the world, a little sip. So that's something to think about as well with the ayin. Let's take a look. We have ayin gimel and ayin dalid. Okay, so let's pick it up from here. I don't want to rush this. This is enjoyable stuff. I really enjoy this a lot. This is
Yeah,
great.
good stuff, good stuff.
Yeah, this is really great. So everyone should have a wonderful Shabbos. And Amir Hashem, we will resume on Monday, 9:15 Eastern time.
All right, have a good Shabbos.
All right, have a good
Take
Shabbos.
care.
Shabbos.
Okay. All right,
What
bye.
time? What time is it there?
Worked out. I don't know.
It's now 4:54. Shkia is in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Whoa, oh, excuse me, but you daven mincha already, whatever.
All right. Have
All
a
right.
Shabbos. This thing's gonna kick us out after in a few seconds.
Shabbos.